Hello, everybody. My goodness, I almost said hello. Hello, everyone. My name is Maxine Choy. Welcome to the Healthy Entrepreneur Show. And this show is brought to you by Business Takeout. Business Takeout is a social platform that inspires entrepreneurs to build and grow their business. And also, in doing that, is making sure that they are in tune with their health and their well being, and also recognizing Black wealth through business education. For this podcast and more, please follow them on all platforms on um, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, and this Facebook group because they have a ton of podcasts that they're dishing out. And if you're an entrepreneur or not, this is a great opportunity for you to connect with the community where you can network and share. So again, my name is Maxine, and I'm so excited to be speaking to Natalie. Natalie is a professional counselor and life coach, and you specialize in with you work with women, children, and families. And I love that because tonight is an episode about being an entrepreneur and managing the family, the kids, and how to get them either to get involved or even understand what we are going through as an entrepreneur. And you know what? I want to just add to not only entrepreneur life. I think also it also affects even just a working parent, right?
Yep.
You're spending hours and hours working, whether you're working from home or going to the office. So your children are going to be impacted by everything that you do. So we're going to dive in and I'm going to introduce you, like I introduced you already. So please tell everybody about you a little bit so we can get to know you. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Maxine. You've
My pleasure.
definitely been up like in the scene and doing this healthy entrepreneur. So it's a pleasure that I'm here and I've been invited to come and talk a little bit. So my name's Natalie Comrie and I've been in the field for over 20 years working with families, children, women. I've expanded to working with women in the past 5 years, just helping them on their journey through life, helping them create goals, achieving their goals, dealing with trauma, um, addiction, abuse, all those trials and tribulations that we go through. I help women really get their power back and move forward. And the same thing in regards to children, which I've been working with children for many, many years now. I'm actually a child and youth worker. So it's what I went to school for when I started out my career, and it's been a joy, right?
Mm.
And I still now foster children. I have two foster kids at home along with my three kids. So it's still a part of my journey and something I love to do.
So it sounds like you're around children mostly, and of course,
Yeah.
you're also around parents as well. So helping women to become a better version of themselves, or even just to grow. So it looks. I mean, I've been watching you for a while. I remember when you first came on, and my sister, who's your friend,
Very
um,
good friend.
I know. It's like 6 degrees of separation. Like
Yeah.
I've been watching you, and then my sister's like, "Oh, that's my friend." I'm like, "What do you mean that's my friend?" You guys are high school friends, so I think that's pretty cool. So there's some kind of like a kindred spirit between us because I know my
Yeah.
sister keeps you near and dear to her heart, and I think you guys have a special relationship. Well, I know you guys do, but anyway, I
Yeah.
digress. Um, but I do remember watching some of the things you were doing, in particular with the younger kids, girls, and specifically. And I remember just what you were inspiring them to be and to do, and then you'd show the success of what you like everything that you've done. You'd show the result. Blank. Can everybody see me? Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Are we here?
Yep, I hear you now. You went blank for a second, but you're
Did I
back.
lose anyone for a second? I had a phone call come in. This was really weird.
Yeah, you lost for a second, but you're good now. Yeah, but you were saying like at the
I
start
can't
of,
hear anything. Just one second.
oh, well, here we are. We've lost Maxine on her show. Well, I know she was talking about me and my journey at the beginning with working with youth, and that was always really fun. And when I started fostering teenage girls. And during that process of fostering the teenage girls, I, because they were in my home, I knew I had to give more. I had to find a way to give them the tools that possibly they didn't have and needed and wanted. And that's where I created the program that you were talking about, Maxine, Beauty is Her Name, which is one of
Yes.
my favorite programs to this day. And I did it while taking in the girls. I had 4 girls at one time, and then my 2 kids at that time, 4 teenage girls. And I wanted them to see how beautiful they are, despite what journey they've been through,
Right.
despite that, maybe they felt like their parents gave up on them. I really, really wanted to show them you are still beautiful and that beauty can shine if you want it to shine.
I love
So I started teaching them about their name, and we researched what their name would be and what it meant. And it just kind of went from there until I, looked back in my journal, because I would journal a lot about it. And I had a program, I created a program, you know, um, and it's just beautiful. I've done it with the city of Toronto, the public library. I've done it with schools. So it's a very exciting program that really empowers young women to see the beauty inside of them and for them to hold it dear so that they're able to kind of spread that to the world and be confident.
you know I was I was disconnected for a little bit, so I didn't get some of what you were saying, but I'm glad you continue to speak to the audience.
No
So,
problem.
but I do get the gist of it. I do understand the whole concept of what you've done, and I want to say that what I was taking from it was something along the lines of what I was doing years ago. I had this blog called Maxi Classy, and this thing came to me of being an inspiration to young girls about loving themselves and realizing their beauty and their inner beauty mostly as well. So then that's why when I saw what you're doing, I thought we need that because today with social media and every media you can think about, there's just so many platforms out there, and not to mention just what's happening with people, the way that we've got the reality shows and things like that. So it's very important for us parents to be able to inject these values into them at a young age, and even if they don't follow it throughout, they'll remember it. Because I'm telling you, I feel sometimes that some kids could get to the point of just totally lost in being able to tap into who they really are, or seeing the beauty. Because I I I have parents who have kids who refuse to leave the house if certain aspects of them don't look a certain way, or whatever, you know what I'm talking about, right? And it's because of the
Mhm.
bullying that they would get, or the name calling, or if anybody sees them a certain way, what do? They get the camera out and they blast them on social media, and that's
Yeah.
embarrassing. That could be
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
damaging to their self-esteem. So
Yeah.
I just really admire you for doing that, and I'm sure you continue to do that, and even, whichever way you can facilitate that. I mean, with this pandemic, I know that it's been somewhat of a struggle to get a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, trust
Yeah.
me.
Yeah,
But
it's been a struggle, but what we found is that I'm able to connect with more youth in the position that I'm in at this moment. That
yeah,
creating Zoom, and Zoom has been such a great platform that now I'm running programs with 50 kids. That
right,
before, trying to get 8 or 10 kids into the
yes,
program was difficult. So now it's
yes,
broadened, and it's been a blessing in disguise that you're able to connect more because they're in the safety of their home. A lot of times their camera's not on, and that's fine, but they're there, they're present, and they're listening and they're engaging in the chat. So it's been difficult, but it's also been a blessing in disguise that I'm able to still connect with these youth in the way that I wasn't before.
right. You know what? Even if the camera is not on, it's okay. They're listening,
They're
right?
listening, they're
Exactly.
engaging,
Yes.
they're chatting. That's all I can ask for. And what this whole pandemic has shown us, because a lot of teachers are complaining about that, and they want their cameras on.
Yeah,
But with
no.
the sector that I work with, it's very difficult because how can they put on their cameras when sometimes their home is not in a safe place, you know? So it, or they're sharing a room sometimes with three or four people. So it's really difficult for them to now bring people into that life when they're literally trying to really get out of it. You know, so we have to
Interesting.
be more sensitive when we're asking people to put on their camera, because our home is considered our safe place, but if we don't feel safe in it, it's hard for us to share that vulnerability with the
Right.
world.
And unfortunately too, depending on how they look on the camera, they have the issue of being screenshot, like showing them looking a certain way, and then again it goes on social media and it creates a problem.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, we're kind of off topic, but it's totally fine. I don't mind at all because it is something that's like a whole other show we could do, right?
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
So I'm gonna get to the topic because I really wanted to talk about this. I personally myself, I'm a mother, and many of the audience are mothers who are entrepreneurs. So
Or
we have our
fathers. Yeah.
and fathers
Hmm.
exactly. We've got a lot of male audience as well, and we have our children no matter what age they are. They are watching us on our journey through entrepreneurship. We are still having to be responsible parents and being there for our kids and making sure that they, one, see how hard we're working, appreciate how hard it is, and even just to understand the pitfalls and everything else that comes along with entrepreneurship and being away from the home or in the computer for hours, and
Right.
they're not getting the attention. So I wanted to talk to you because you have 5 tips to building healthy relationships with our children while being an entrepreneur. And I think for the parents who are watching, like I said, whether you're an entrepreneur or not, these will be very good for us to implement into our kids' lives. So let's dive in, and we're going to start with number 1. And
So just before we start, the
sure.
tips, like you said, you don't have to be an entrepreneur for these tips to be, you can connect with these tips, because right now everybody's really an entrepreneur. Everybody's,
Yeah,
they're
right.
working from home. Their work life has come into their home life, and balancing that, these tips can help you balance that as well, because it's been very, I don't want to say, I hate to say difficult, but it's been a challenge for us to
Yes,
kind of organize what's happening in our lives, especially if it's younger kids, right? That you're working and you're homeschooling and you're supporting the teachers as best as you can. So these tips can work for everybody all around.
absolutely.
Just to be said. But
Yes,
so tip number one, and these tips are also based on what I've seen in my field and working with people, and also myself. So,
right.
tip number one, get your kids involved, especially if you're an entrepreneur.
Hmm.
I think that, when you're starting out your business, you have this vision, you have your goals, you have the drive. It's like, go, 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 go. And you're so like tunnel vision, but you
Focus.
forget that, wait, you know what? I still gotta get dinner on the table. I still gotta get these kids to whatever
Hmm.
extracurricular activity they need to
Yes.
be at,
Hmm.
but also get them involved in what you're doing. You
Yeah.
know, once these kids are involved, it becomes part of them as well. And kids can be more supportive than you believe, but you have to give them that chance to be supportive. For me, it's just not one business I'm doing, it's two. So I found a way to get my kids involved in, especially my jerk sauce business, so that they're helping either bottling, or they're on the road with me doing deliveries, or they're labeling with me, writing things down. They're part of the process at all times, so
Yeah.
that they know, um, one, I can spend time with them, and they know what mommy's doing is for us in a whole. It's not just for me, right? So
Absolutely.
definitely get them involved, and children need to be needed.
Oh yeah, for sure. You know, I like the fact that when you get them involved, so they actually get to see even just the challenges, right? That you go through, whether it's fighting
Yep.
traffic or a label gone wrong, let's just say, or just anything, like maybe a customer that's happy or dissatisfied, whatever it is. I think
Yeah.
it helps them too. And I was looking up the benefits of having your kids getting involved in your entrepreneurship life, and it's like it helps them to develop lifelong skills. And I experienced that myself because when I started off, my daughter was very young, and I remember her answering the phones one day in my business, and she was reciting exactly how I answered the phone, and she was even
Yep.
answering questions, and I was like, wow.
Yep.
I mean, so definitely you're right. Get them involved because it will
Yep.
help to pave a way for them somehow.
Yeah, them seeing that process, and you're
Mm-hmm.
absolutely right. And it goes down to another one of the tips,
Mm-hmm.
that, and I'm just going to jump into it because we already said this.
Absolutely.
Their eyes are always watching,
Yes.
right? And we are the biggest, most important role model in our children's life. And I get a lot of parents that say to me, no social media, no friends. A while back, I did a post on my top 5 influences in a kid's life. And number one was parents, because
Yes.
you
Yes.
are the first thing they see
Absolutely.
when they're modeling who they're going to be. So if you have a daughter, your daughter's going to model what a woman should look like after
Yes.
you.
Yes.
You have a son, your son is going to model what they're going to look like after the father, right?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
then if vice versa, the female is going to see what I want in a partner by looking at what her dad has given her, and same thing with the son. We are their biggest role models. They're always watching. So as an entrepreneur, when you know your child is always watching, your child's going to pick up those skills of answering the phone, answering they're mimicking, because that's how
Yes.
children learn,
Mm-hmm.
right? For me, it's so interesting because um, I've seen it. I'm coming from an entrepreneur background. My father was an entrepreneur for the majority of his life. So I have that in me. And obviously, both me and my sister kind of mimicked it. That's
Right.
what we're doing with our lives as well. And I'm seeing it in my kids as well. My son
Yes.
just started his business. That it's actually a year since he started his business, training
Mm.
kids and tutoring kids and just doing what he knows he's good at. Because what I teach them, take what you're good at. Take something
Yes.
that you're good at and just push and try for it.
I,
You know,
I, I'm an advocate for that because
Yeah,
that's
don't
how
try to
you
be
be
something
happy.
else. You're
Yeah.
good at playing basketball and you're good at playing soccer. How about teaching others to do that? You're good
Right.
at, tutoring. Teach people to do that. My daughter's good at here. Okay, let's do some here.
Yeah.
Find what you're good at. And it's so funny. I heard this on a comedian had said it a while back. Why he became a comedian is because it was something that he was good at, but it wasn't
Mhm.
really his passion, but he was
Oh,
so good at it.
that's so interesting. That is so interesting
Yeah.
because I struggled with that too. And I think I resonated with Steve Harvey when he talked about like if you could be a professional, you can own a pastry, you can be a pastry chef, but yet still you can coach basketball or
Yeah.
because you're a good coach, right? So whatever it is, you just do it. If you're good at it and it can make you money, you know.
Yeah, and it's not even that. Like, you can find people really want to do what they're passionate about. But by
Yes.
definition, passion is uncontrollable emotions,
Yes.
right? So if we're going towards this uncontrollable emotion that just goes everywhere, if you're not going to rein that in and see what your talent actually is within what you're passionate about, you're going to kind of go in a circle,
Right.
right? And that sometimes your passion takes over you actually being successful in your business,
Mm.
because you're so passionate about something, and your passion, just all these emotions come out of it. But are you really good at that? you know
Yeah.
but you're so passionate about it. Like, I'm passionate about singing, but you won't hear me go in go on a stage and sing. But I'm passionate about it, but I'm not
Yeah.
good at it.
But not, yeah.
So we have to
So
start being honest
true.
with ourselves on what our passion is, what we're good at, and what we can make into a substantial business that's going to bring us that financial gain that we're looking for. And that's what I teach my kids. So back to the tips, they are always watching. So you got to communicate what you're doing and also bring out the light that they have in them to do what they're good at as well.
Hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely. I like that.
Yeah.
I've taken some mental notes about that passion and doing things that you can do, because I have that in me too. I have a lot of things I'm able to do and naturally good at, but I don't always enjoy it.
And that's the thing, and
Yeah.
it's interesting because that's my, I've been really passionate about Ask Donna Marie for many years because I love working with people. I love coming on shows like this. I love sharing this part of me. I
Yeah.
love public speaking, but
Yes.
I'm really good at making my jerk sauces and
Right.
my, you know what I mean? So it was so, I wasn't as passionate, but I was good at it.
Trust
And
me.
I
I know
had to
exactly what you
really,
mean.
I had to kind of like juggle with that and come to terms with,
Right.
Nat, you're good at this. This
Right.
is your passion, but this is what you're good at. How can you do them both and still be successful? And and it gets into my other tip with your kids, as I'm going to say that you can't be good at everything,
Yes.
right? So my next tip is, which one was it?
Oh, we've got time. Be
No,
open.
this one, I was
Uh,
going through a tip that I was saying something
oh, okay.
about. This happens to me all the time.
I
This is where
have
I
it written
show my
down.
age. This is where I show my age.
I have it
Uh,
written down.
we'll come back to it
Okay, no
because
problem.
I had an idea in my head. So next tip: be open with your goals with your kids,
Yes.
right? And this is
And
important
why
because
is that?
you said this a little bit earlier that they should be on the journey with you to see the things that you're going through and, the traffic, the this, the that, things like that. I am open to say, okay, you know what? This week I want to do this, or in a
Mhm.
month I want it to be like this, and I give them that big picture so they know why mommy's working so hard,
Yeah,
you
you're
know?
right. Yeah.
So sometimes I have even my foster kids, one of my foster son came up to me and goes, Auntie Nat, how was this weekend? I know your goal was this. Did you reach your goal?
Mm.
And I
So,
said, and the
so
thing
he's
is, what's super important about this is that tell them if you didn't reach your goal.
yeah. So the fact that you actually share that with him, it's in his mind,
Yes,
and then when you correspond and tell them, give them an update, that's fostering a level of support. Like they're going to continue to support you, and maybe even give you some
right.
advice and
And
encourage you too.
communication.
Yeah,
And the
communication.
communication and comprehension is there that we're able to with all my kids, we're able to say things and if they come up on a failure, and I do like to communicate the failures to them because for me, if I'm communicating that failure, I'm also showing them how I'm growing from that failure.
Right,
So
right.
it's not just saying, "Oh my gosh, I didn't sell nothing this week. I'm so sad." Da, da, da.
Mm-hmm.
When he came and asked me, I'm like, "Yeah, it was a slow week, but you
Right.
know what? This is what I'm gonna do going forward because I learned from what I did here. But what do you think about this?" And then he's like, "Yeah, that's a good idea." And I do that with all of my kids. So
Right.
it's so talking about the goals that you have,
Yeah.
talking about if you don't reach your goals,
Mm-hmm.
and talking about that failure because failure is learning. When you fail, all it
Yes.
is finding a different way to learn to do. It's getting those lessons and doing it differently the next time. Why
I
not
like that.
communicate that with your kids? That's like the
I
number one thing you want to talk to your kids about.
I really like that. I like that because failure is your growth. It really is.
Failure is your growth.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Nuggets here, guys. I mean, and I think like I don't know if anybody who's watching right now who has their children watching as well, or share it with them. But it's very difficult sometimes when the business is not going so well and the kids, they become fearful. Like sometimes that stress can be carried down to them, or they see that you don't look like things are going so well. That could wouldn't that affect their mental health as well, or just like this uncertainty of no stability?
Okay, so like I said, you have to communicate in a way. You cannot give any child, no matter the age, drop a bomb on them and just leave it.
Okay.
As an adult, we wouldn't want that as well. Like if you came to me and said, "Oh, Natalie, everything is messing up on me. I just can't do this anymore. I'll call you later." I'll be like, "Wait, what? Are you okay, Maxine?" And it's the same thing with kids. Like if I'm going to communicate my goals and one of my goals doesn't come through, right? I need to have that conversation because you never stop parenting.
No.
Okay, so even within your entrepreneur journey, you working from home, we all know this is, I'm not saying nothing nobody doesn't know. We don't stop parenting. And those moments that, you may just think you're throwing an answer, those are all learning moments, and they're building these blocks of who they are through what we're saying.
Right.
So we got to be careful how we choose our words. We got to talk through it. We got to make sure that we're communicating in a way that is comprehension to them.
Right.
So I'm not going to tell my 8-year-old the same thing I'm going to tell my 15-year-old. I'm not going to do it. Right. But I'm going to tell my 8-year-old something that is age appropriate, that she's going to understand, and she's still going to feel a part of the process.
Absolutely.
So we don't always communicate the same with each one of our kids. And we need to know our children. We need to know which child can take which information. Some are more sensitive than the others. Right? So we have to be as parents, which I know many parents are aware, okay, I can't talk to this one the way I talk to this one, because this one is going to take it this way. And, you have to just be aware, right? So obviously take that one with a grain of salt, that, hey, yes, tell them your failures, but tell the right ones your failures. Or, you know what I mean? Know your kids. These tips are tips, but you also have to know your children as well.
It's so true. And if you have a few of them, that's a lot of explaining you got to do. I can feel your pain.
That's a different show.
Exactly.
All right, the next tip, time is your friend.
Can you explain that?
Yes. Entrepreneurs view time, some of them, depending on what part of your journey you're on, time could be your friend or time could be your enemy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we only have 24 hours in a day, but part of how we make that day go is our planning, right? So we have to plan in mom time, dad time. We have to plan in work time. We have to plan this stuff. Time is your friend, not your enemy. So use it according to what you need.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So instead of looking at it as, oh, I don't have time to do that. Anybody that says, any entrepreneur, like, honestly, no entrepreneur will say, I'm too busy. Those ones deep in it won't say I'm busy.
What do you mean? Oh, I'm too busy.
I'm too busy. I'm too busy. Entrepreneurs don't say that. If you are going to connect with me being here right now is of value to me. Yeah. So I made time in my schedule to make sure I am here with you, because time is my friend. Right. I would never say, oh, I'm too busy. As soon as you contacted me, I'm like, all right, let's make it happen, because I know how to schedule my time. I'm making sure that if I'm giving my time here, I'm getting value back. Mm-hmm. Whether it's connecting with people, whether it's, sharing a tip and somebody took just one tip off of it, whether it's just feeling energy of positivity, that is making sure that my time is valued. Right. The same thing with our kids. We got to make sure that we know that their time is valued as well. We can schedule them in. Don't just, oh, I'm too busy. You can't be too busy. Schedule your time. Plan your day. Right. Time is your friend.
Got it.
Time is more valuable than money. Money?
Oh, absolutely.
You can make that back.
Oh, absolutely.
You can make that back.
Yeah.
But time you can never get back.
Yeah. I've been guilty of just saying to my daughter, like, giving her a gamut of, like, I've got this to do and that to do and this to go and there to go, and looking her in the eye and saying, sorry, but mommy's very busy this week, type of thing. And she would just look at me with a blank stare, like, and I, now in hindsight, when I think about it, she must be thinking to herself, well, I must not be that important. Meanwhile, I'm thinking, you need, please understand that mommy has to do this. So I don't have the time for you right now.
Do you see that? I don't have the time for you right now. Yeah. Right. So we got to be careful of the words we choose, because definitely our children are going to take not take it the way that we intended in our head, but they're going to take it a different way. That's why I say you can't say you're busy. Yeah. You got to schedule it out. You got to schedule your self-care time. You got to schedule your kids' time. You got to schedule your work time. I know many entrepreneurs that will wait till their kids go to bed and start working
Yeah.
just to make
Hello.
sure that they have that time with their kids and they're not taking anything away, because we don't want our kids to also start to regret what we're doing and
Mm.
start to um, feel a sort of way because, oh, I don't even like what mommy's doing, I don't even like what daddy's doing. You know,
Yes.
we want them to see the value in it, that one, we're doing it for them, and two, it's something that we're good at,
Absolutely.
so that they
Absolutely.
can find something that they're good at. Entrepreneurs never want their kids to be worker bees. They want them to get
Wow.
these skills and really find something that they're happy with and something that they can do as well,
You know,
right?
you know, trust me, I'm taking it all in. For any entrepreneur here who they probably can relate right this minute about having those days where you just have no time for kids. The kids get left neglected and fend for themselves, get Uber, Eats, and just do whatever, especially when they're young and they're just like playing. And as long as they're occupied, you're like, okay, good. And I can see where the kids will just not understand, and even just how it could just affect them and how they look at you as a parent. You know, hmm.
Yep. They don't understand the big picture
Yeah,
of money or any, and we don't want them to. We still want our kids to be kids. We want them to play. We want them to have fun, use their imagination. So once as we're taking that away, we got to be careful on what message we're sending when we say, I'm too busy for you,
right, right.
you know, because that messaging is telling them, I'm not enough.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not the message we want to tell our kids, you
No,
know. And we also want to make sure that when we're planning our self-care time, we're planning their self-care time as well,
interesting.
because at the same token, children need to know how to be on their own. They
Yes.
need to know how to play, and it starts with play. You need to know how to play by yourself,
Yeah.
you know. And once as my kids come to me and say I'm bored, that's my best time. Good. You're bored? Awesome. That means you're with yourself. Now try to think that through.
Exactly.
You know, I'm not there to unboard you.
No.
That's your job. You
Yes.
know, that's what you need to figure out, and they need to kind of fight through that. You
Right.
know, instead of saying I'm bored, because when children do say that, it's they want your time.
Yes. They want your
But they
time.
have to, they have to be able to. I force my kids to communicate it,
Right.
right? So I'm bored. Are you? Guess what I'm doing? I'm watching a movie. Hmm, can
Yeah.
I watch with you? Of course, let's go. You know,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and force them to kind of communicate that out, because it's all about communication skills as well.
Absolutely. Okay. Wow. Nice. And what's the next one
The
then?
last one now is focus on harmony,
Mm-hmm.
right? We hear a lot of times that, oh, we got to balance. We got to balance work. We got to balance the kids. We got to balance this.
Yes.
I hate hearing balance. It
Yes.
it it irks me, because when you think of balance, you think of,
The
that
scale.
teeter tot,
Balance.
the scales, right? It's hard to do that. It's hard to balance anything. You know, think of harmony.
Harmony.
Harmonize
Yeah.
it.
Right.
Prioritize your life. So there's going to be on a day that it's just about the kids and you get no work done. And
Yes.
many parents have had those days with being online. Trust me, I've had it,
Yes.
right? And that is okay, because that is what's needed at that time. So once as you're prioritizing what you need to do, that's all that matters. Harmonize it. Don't balance it,
Yeah, I like that. Harmonize it. And it's
right?
just a matter of like carving the time out, setting things aside,
Planning.
and just saying, yeah, just planning. Yeah, it's all about planning. It's so true
Yep.
because I myself have been very guilty of not planning, or even just like slacking some days. Some days a phone call comes in, I'm on the phone for like an hour and a half, let's just say. And then what I'll do is I'll go back to my work, and then of course, my daughter would have wanted, thinking that I would be finished at a certain time. And then next thing you know, I'm like, oh, Michaela, I need, more time. Next thing you know, it's 7 o'clock, and there goes the day, right? So,
There goes the day.
if
Yep.
she's watching, which she probably isn't, um, on behalf of moms out there, dads, we apologize to these kids because it's different. When we were growing up, it was just different for us, and it's different for them in so many ways. With just what like what we started talking about. Um, there was a time when I would hear stories of children who would keep themselves in their rooms away from their parents because parents were so busy and so caught up, and rather than taking the time out to really say what's happening and they can get in touch with their children, they're just so busy, and the child would be going through so much and they don't share it with their parents. Even if there is a time to be together, they just don't share it with their parents.
That's
And
something different though, Maxine. That's lack of communication and
yeah,
building and fostering that relationship from the jump. If you're worried about any teenager being in their room for any periods of time, they're also teenagers,
yeah, for sure.
right? And you had said that, times are much different now. Listen, the only thing that is different, I think these times children get a little bit more of their parents because we're learning different tools that our parents didn't have the privilege to learn.
Right.
They did the best they could with the tools they had.
Hmm.
A lot of us were latchkey kids because we knew they had to work, and we just had to be comfortable with that. Now, as parents ourselves, we're getting these tips and these tools and these supports, and our parents never had any of that.
Right.
They had to do and especially a lot of our parents are coming from different countries and trying to, be a part of this country that sometimes seems like they don't even want them,
Yeah, for sure.
while keeping food on their table for their kids, while keeping their kids safe, by raising them to still be strong, Black, brown, Asian, whatever the case may be, and keep them cultured. That is a lot.
It is a lot.
So times has changed, but it's become a little bit, there's more access to information. We can
Hmm.
grab at things a little bit more than our parents could.
Right, right.
Right. And I spoke to a client that I was working with a while back, um, immigrated from Jamaica, and she had lost her kids, and she's very great now. And this was years and years ago. And she goes, if I knew what I knew now, the system wouldn't have treated me like that
Mm.
because I would have been educated enough to know. So the tools that I can pull on right now, I could have never pulled on in the 80s.
Yes, it's true. Very, very true.
Right?
Yeah.
So yes, we had a different upbringing. There were different things, like we didn't have social media. I think that's the only thing that's really
Mm.
different is the access to social media that the children have. But
Right.
we are so much better, and our parents work so hard to make us so much better.
Yes.
And that's access to information. Platforms like this.
Yes, for
In
sure.
the 90s, there was not a platform like this that could give you tips on how to be a great entrepreneur and talk to your kids. So yes, that it's different. And I hear a lot of parents say that back in my day, sometimes I say it too, right? But at the same time, we have better resources than our parents ever did. And I still think they are doing a better job than us and did a better job
Yeah,
than us,
indeed, indeed. Um,
so
so I mean, there's so many benefits to what you were saying, and those tips that you gave were absolutely amazing, great, because I never thought of them, right? Especially when you said focus on harmony, and then blocking, like basically making the time. It's really making me think about how I'm going to go about my day to day with my child and my business and what I'm doing. So I want to thank you for that, and I wanted to add as well that one of the things I think with children when you start to get them involved is it teaches them how to network, communicate, and I think it
problem
also
solving skills,
right, and I think it also helps them to find their passion. I think that
what they're
especially
good at.
right, well, yes, and if they're looking up to you as a parent, and they'll see that when they see the the passion in you and how happy you are, or just any success that you encounter, they will see the hard work and how it pays off, and then venture into their own things. And I think that's pretty
Yeah.
much why it's good to get them involved in your entrepreneur life. And I think it's any age. I've seen tiny little kids, helping their parents out,
Yep.
and as well as older kids. So I definitely think it's a good idea. And I do want to thank you for agreeing to come on here.
No
Um,
problem.
is there anything that you wanted to say at all to the audience about what you do on a regular basis, to even for self-care, entrepreneurship, self-care,
Well,
whatever?
that's a good one. For me, what I've been doing is focusing on talking to myself,
Oh,
right?
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So, we're traveling with 1,000 thoughts
Yes.
every second. Like there's thoughts going in and out over and over and over again. But capturing the thought, and our thoughts equal our feelings, which equals our behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Catching yourself at the thought moment
Yes.
is very important because it's easy to know what we're feeling.
Right.
I'm feeling angry right now. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling happy. That's easy to capture. What's not easy to capture is, why are you angry? Why are you
Yes.
sad?
Oh,
Why are you happy? So
listen.
I've been doing a lot of that work on capturing my thoughts. And
Capturing
you
thoughts.
know and one time I was telling a coworker today, I was just driving in the car, and those negative thoughts that we say about ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And I caught myself in one. And I was in the car by myself, thankfully, but my windows were down, and I just yelled at myself, stop.
Yes.
And I
Absolutely.
replaced it with a positive one. So part of my self-care journey is journaling and talking to myself, whether it's mirror work, I am enough, I am great, I am loyal, like whatever I want to say, but my mirror work, my journal work, and talking to myself. Those are some of the
That's
things I do.
I love that, and it's very important as well, because it's a form of meditation. It's a form of
Exactly.
checking in with yourself and with your emotions, and I'm going to just piggyback on that. It's understanding why we're feeling this way or why we're thinking that way. So definitely it's a good thing to practice. And I
Yep.
want to thank you for sharing that with us.
No
Um,
problem.
there were some comments that came up, and I think they were very good. If the
Okay.
producers can just show it very quickly, we can just acknowledge what they were. So Destiny Savory said, "You're an amazing spirit." Asked Donna Marie. Yeah, so for anybody who's watching, her other name is Ask Donna
Ask
Marie.
Donna Marie, yeah.
Yeah, and then the other one. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Oh, who's this? Art Shannon. Oh, I can't. Boy, I can barely even see that. My goodness. First thing they see is excellent point. Yeah, first thing they see is what we're doing. I don't know what we're talking about then, but I get what you mean. um, so, like, I want to thank you so much for again, and I hope these tips were helpful to our viewers. I want to thank the viewers for watching, and hoping that everybody has a pleasant week. And for anyone to reach out to you for any help with anything that they need, you're available on Facebook, Instagram at Ask Donna Marie, and your website is askdonnamarie.com.
Yep.
Natalie, I thank you.
Thank you for having me. It was fun. Definitely.
Absolutely. Look forward to seeing you again next time. We're going to talk about some other things. Good
Oh,
night, everybody.
definitely. Good
And
night.
good night, everybody. Stay well. Bye bye.